Hey everybody, I'm Katie, and welcome to Head of the Class. I am joined today by Mrs. Angie Murrell, FreedomProject Academy's high school rhetoric teacher within the Logic and Philosophy department. Mrs. Murrell joined FPA in 2012. Mrs. Murrell, you began your education with an interest in teaching the young students, and now you are teaching our oldest students rhetoric. Tell us about your background and what led you to teaching rhetoric.
Absolutely. So I taught younger ages, and then I became a mom myself. And I started homeschooling my own children. And as I was doing that, I was also involved in an international program that I'm sure lots of people know about, MOPS. And I was an instructor. And so for about 8 years, I was teaching women, leading and teaching women nearly every week for about 8 years, and teaching my own kids, homeschooling them. And as they got older, I ended up forming from the ground up a speech and debate club, competitive club, where I had kindergarten through 19-year-old. And so I started, I was teaching speech to all the way up, K to 12th grade. And then that continued on for years, and I started teaching for Freedom Project. I was teaching in local homeschool groups, and actually now I even teach at the university level. So on any given day, I might be teaching fourth graders live in a homeschool co-op class, and a couple hours later, I may be teaching a college class. So it runs the gamut.
Well, learning how to properly debate and understand an argument are skills I think that, everyone can find benefit. So how do you teach your students these valuable skills in the virtual classroom for FPA?
Well, I have to say that rhetoric, as far as FPA goes, is we actually are training in the appeals, the rhetorical appeals, Aristotle's rhetorical appeals. So it's not that we're doing all kinds of debate all the time in our class, because we're learning to utilize persuasive techniques and discern persuasive techniques when they're being used for us. And so when they come to class, honestly, it is anything. Every class is different, but I have slides all the time. My students know that I expect engagement. We are involved in discussion with each other. Sometimes we go into small groups in little bits of our pods of our classroom. I have them writing on our whiteboard and doing things together. So it's a whole variety of things every single time we're together. I expect high involvement in my class at any given time.
And now you, as you said, keep yourself pretty busy with this multitude of teaching opportunities, and you have 4 daughters. But when you do get some free time, what do you like to do?
I love spending time with my family, but I love to read. I am a voracious reader. I absolutely love to read. I read on many, many different subjects, and I don't have as much time to do that as I would like. So my idea of an actual vacation is just going and sitting for a week and just having a huge stack of books and reading through them all.
See, now that sounds like a good time. But when you do, get all that free time with your reading, in addition to coaching the rhetoric and teaching in, this other homeschool environment, what is it that made you decide to join FPA specifically?
Well, I personally have chosen for my own daughters. I have 4 of them, as you said. 3 of them are graduated now, but I've homeschooled them since day one. And I chose classical Christian, Judeo-Christian education for each one of them personally. I believe that as Christians, we are really to seek out that transcendentals of truth, goodness, and beauty. And I believe that classical Judeo-Christian education is the absolute best for that. I just think it's the best way to go, honestly.
All right. Now, before we wrap up, I want to do a quick fire. So I'm going to ask you a couple different questions, and you're going to answer as fast as you possibly can.
Okay.
So what are 5 words to describe you?
Oh, my. Okay. Engaging, hopefully. Engaging. Creative. I'm very, very, very creative. Resourceful. My joke around is that I may not be the smartest at everything, but I might be the most resourceful person you have ever met in your life. I'm a leader and a motivator. I can motivate most ages to really step out and try things that they may not believe that they're capable of. So I love to motivate. And I don't know if that's 5. And enthusiastic.
All right, we'll give you a 6. All right, what are 4 favorite places that you'd like to travel to or that you have traveled to?
Oh, wow. Okay, well, Pentwater, Michigan holds a special place in my heart. We had a wonderful family and friends vacation there one time on the spur of the moment. It was just amazing. So I'd love to go back there. The Historic Triangle, if you haven't been there, go do that. That was incredibly fun, especially on homeschool week for any homeschoolers. And I would like to go to Italy, probably in Australia.
All right. That sounds good. Now, since you love books, this is going to be a tough one. What are your 3 favorite books or 3 books that you'd recommend others to read?
That's just not fair. It's not fair.
Maybe genres.
I'll tell you what. 3, I'll tell you 2 of them happen in my class, right? So I'm going to plug my class here for anyone who may be watching and thinking, oh, why even study rhetoric? Aristotle's Rhetoric. Aristotle's Rhetoric, definitely. And I pair that with Mortimer Adler's How to Read a Book. I believe all adults need to read that excellent piece of work. So applicable still to this day and age. And so those 2 my students will get in my classes. And third, there is a book called You're Always Being Interviewed by Ron Brumbarger. Okay, Ron Brumbarger. You're Always Being Interviewed. I believe that it's great for all ages, but young people, they should pick up that book and read that book.
All right. How about what are your 2 favorite topics to debate or maybe speech topics for any of your students?
That is absolutely not fair.
That's what I'm here for.
It's not fair because honestly, when they're trained in the rhetorical appeals and persuasion, I'm excited to hear what they have to say about anything and whatever we want to get involved in. That's one of my favorite things about teaching speech classes is people come up with amazing topics, and I'm excited about them all. Truly, I can't pick 2.
All right, we'll just pretend like you gave 2.
Okay.
All right. Finally, what's one piece of advice you have for your students?
I would say, be excellent. Do everything with excellence. I believe that God is really clear that we are to do everything as though working for the Lord. And when we look at that, that means we're not called to just grudgingly come and do what we have to do and do just that amount and be mediocre. I believe that we are called to do everything we do as though working for the Lord. And I would say, young people, you need to be excellent. And that's not perfection. That's very, very different. We are not perfect and we are not called to perfection. That is not it. But we are called to work as though working for the Lord in everything. And so we should come and we should be excellent in what we do.
Okay, Mrs. Murrell, thank you so much for being here today. Learn more about our amazing teachers and Freedom Project Academy at fpeusa.org.